Hey guys, Kamina the Koach here. I'm pooped. My mind was so busy last night from all of the it's not really new information. It's reaffirmed or re-reminded information that I was taking in yesterday. Now, my mind was so busy when I laid down to go to sleep that I just couldn't for like an hour after my bedtime. Now, granted, I do usually get 9 hours of sleep, so here lately, I've been doing a lot of videos about living and working abroad, but that's honestly not really where my passion lies. My passion lies in self development and growth, healing, and the journey towards actual self actualization. So, while working abroad may be part of your self actualization journey, at the end of the day, if you're not taking care of yourself, it doesn't really matter if you find your amazing job abroad if you're not okay in here or at least not going that direction. So, I don't have a problem admitting when I was wrong or when I'm wrong. When I turned 40, I told you that I'd been studying death because it was something that made me afraid, and studying it made me less afraid of it. So let's return to, I love science in the mix with self development. And we know that quantum physics says that we're made up of mostly space. We feel that we're solid and the world around us is solid, but we only feel that way because of perception. So at our core, so if we break ourselves down, if we break this really organized system of organized systems down, so you break yourself down into organ systems like your respiratory system and your endocrine system. Then we break that down even further down into organs. We have bones, we have a heart, we have a brain. You break that down into molecules, and you break the molecules down into cells, and then we break the cells down into atoms. And then once we break down the atoms, once we look at the atoms are mostly just energy and space, neutrons, protons, and 90% of space. I believe that the figure they gave is that the amount of space inside of a atom, so from one atom, from one particle to the next, is like the distance, the equivalent distance from where we are to the next galaxy. Let that sink in. So recently I came across a video on the internet that said if you compress everyone and everything in our entire world, that it would be like the size into an actual mass, real mass without any space, it would be like the size of a sugar cube, which means the illusion of us is just that. It's really an illusion. And yes, I knew that. Sometimes we need to be reminded. So what took me on the journey that I'm currently on is I saw the amazing Deepak Chopra on Oprah Winfrey in 1993. And he had her, to prove the power of the mind, he had her hold a washer on a string. And a lot of you might have seen this. She held a washer on a string, and he said, okay, now in your mind, picture the washer going back and forth like this. And it did. He said, okay, now like this. And it did. He said, okay, now in circles. It did that too. He was like, okay, now the other direction. She was like, oh, I don't think I can do that. He was like, just see it in your mind. And it worked. It worked. So I am reading The Ageless Body, Timeless Mind. And why am I wrong? I'm wrong because I accepted the fate of death, and I was maintaining a very old mentality. I think I've been old for a very long time. Whatever my soul was part of before it was part of Kamina, it was probably part of a very old someone who perceived themselves as very old. I've always kind of been old mentally. So that's all perception, and it's all societally created. Do you know? So go out and try to find it. Leave it in the comments if you find it. Try to find someone who has died of old age. People don't die of old age. People die of disease. People die of diseases that we believe that old people get, preventable diseases. Now, every disease that an old person gets is very preventable. A lot of the causes of these diseases are things that we're not thinking about. Well, stress, of course, we're thinking about. Do you know that most of the people that live to be over 100 years old have not been lonely in their lives? If you've not seen my past video about me going back to the United States, this is a big part of my realization that, yeah, it's time to take my behind back to the United States, because no, I'm not lonely, but I have been alone for a long time. And people that live a long time and long, healthy lives have an intricate system of connections and really deep, positive connections. So people that have healthy connections, people who get a moderate amount of exercise, do you know that it only took them 30 minutes of exercise 6 days a week? I mean, I'm powerlifting right now, but so by what do you say? By stopping smoking and by getting 30 minutes of exercise 6 days a week, you can increase your lifespan by 10 to 30 years. So this was back in 1996, I think, when he released this book or something like that, 1993. And there were something like 237,000 sedentarians, like people over 100 in the United States. I can't imagine how many more there are now. And when people say the 30 is the new 40 or whatever, like, there's real truth to that, and it's actually even younger, and it really is all about what's in your mind. So that's all I really wanted to do this video about. This is what I like to share with you, what I'm studying, what I'm looking at. One of the I want to share just one more practice that I got from the book, and I want to try it with you. It's easier to try on someone else, so if you could humor me, please. If you could hold out your right hand, this is my left hand, but it's probably your right on the screen, right? If you could hold out your right hand, please. Close your eyes. Now, picture the palm of your hand getting really, really hot. Hotter. It's getting hotter still. Now picture that there is a cast iron skillet coming closer to the palm of your hand. It's not touching your hand, but it's very, very close. It's very hot. It's so hot that it's red. You feel the heat on your hand? Now the pan is just a little bit closer to your hand. You can actually feel it burning. You can feel it burning your palm. Now hold up your left hand and shoot that heat from your right hand to your left hand. Do you feel that? It's amazing. So you really shouldn't be able to do it for yourself, but I could actually do it for myself. And I was like, whoa. And it's strange to have people reaffirm the stuff that you already know. It's like kind of like your parents nag you about stuff that you already know. But we need to be reminded sometimes. The mind is a creative force. You know, Jesus said in the Bible, God is in you and all around you. He said to the Egyptians, you are gods. So I'm not religious, as you know. I have gone to seminary. I did study Islam. But the creative force that people call God is in you. It is in your mind. It's not your ego. It's not you. It's not this. It is that collective intelligence that is inside of you. And if you harness it properly, we don't have to suffer. We don't have to grow old and get those horrible sicknesses that go along with getting old, unless we've decided that that's what we want, unless we've given up on life and given up control of our power, of our creative force. So I just wanted to share that with you. Don't go out and prod your older relatives who are struggling with disease. I just share this with you for you to share with yourself, for you to try to become more in tune with yourself. So if you have fear of getting old and fear of disease like I did, that maybe you can have the power now to harness some of that and take some of that control back, and try, maybe not control, but take some of that power back and some of that presence back. to be more aware of your creative power, your creative force, and shift your thinking. So, Ageless Body, Timeless Mind by Deepak Chopra. That's what I'm doing right now. So, Kamina the Koach, wishing you an eternity of life, love, peace, joy, and happiness. Until next time, I'll see ya. Peace.